Thanks for tuning in, everyone. I'm your host, Konrad, on Wednesday Night Reviews. And from superheroes to average Joes, here's what I read this week. So, a good friend of mine lent me the full 12-issue series of Coda. I hold in my hand here number 1, the book written by Simon Spurrier and drawn by Matias Bergara, and published by Boom Studios. And this book, I must say, was unexpectedly good. I had never come across the artist before, Matias Bergara. I now follow him on social media and look forward to his next coming books. Simon Spurrier, of course, a very well-known, very, very talented writer in comics. And they've come together to create a truly fantastical, otherworldly, and touching story. Coda focuses on who is once was a bard when the world was full of magic and fantasy and questing and all that stuff that you'll find in the pages of every fantasy novel out there in comic. But now that the apocalypse has struck, stripping the world of all of its magic and leaving only Ichor, this green liquid magic that people basically fight over and hoard and stock, H's mentality about everything has become very nihilistic and pessimistic, and it suits him well. I do not like him as a character. I think he's a bad character. Or rather, I think he's a good character. I think he's a bad person. I wouldn't like him. Many people wouldn't, and he wants you to feel that way about him. But he's perfectly suited now to his new world. He just immediately let go of what was, unlike 90% of the people around him, and he just focuses on the now. And very quickly we learn that the now for him is trying to save the soul of his wife, whom is gone. So he adventures around gathering Ichor where he can, riding a giant Pentacorn, a 5-horned unicorn, because he occasionally needs to inject it with this Ichor, which makes him, the unicorn, stronger, faster, and basically more full of magic. Other ways you can get magic in this world, by the way, are to find magical creatures or artifacts and break them down to the substance that is just the magic. Now, the art in this book is wild. The cover is done by Jay Lee for the first issue, and I believe he comes back for 1 or 2 of the covers. But the interiors are absolutely gorgeous. This here we have is a dead dragon, like it's a skeleton, but the dragon can still speak somehow. And inside of the dragon, on our second page, we meet whom is basically hanging from the inside of this creature's ribs and harvesting bits of it for magic. And as I was saying, the is not a great person, not a good person. It's depressing to be around, probably. They're very nihilistic, and they don't particularly care for anyone, because they are single-minded in their quest to save the soul of their wife. And along their journey, they come across many different people. Some of them are these quest-toting, sword-waving, armored fantasy freaks who only want to live in that past, in that world, and they grasp desperately on to the belief that that will come back, or that they can make it last. Other characters that he meets, like him, accept that it is gone, but are now plotting and manipulating people into their own ends, trying to create a new world or a new order or civilization that can survive. And when those two worlds come together, all out hell breaks loose. So here's a nice shot of our paladins of the Peace Guard, who are, of course, as you'll notice, fantasy-bound, covered in armor and weapons. And what I think is most impressive, each of these types of characters and all the individuals in between, all in some way feel differently about the world, but they more or less want to find themselves together with someone to help prosper, to survive. But I think the way that each of the different cultures of people, each of the different groups of people, the tribes and all that, and the races, deal with those in very different ways. And Simon Spurrier has done a great job of writing in beliefs and thoughts and ideologies that all brush up against each other in similar ways, but also very clearly illustrate how vastly different they are. And Matias Bergara's art, here's a shot from I believe it's a cave with some troll-like creatures or orc-like creatures, just displays how vastly different everything can be. From the wild, bright, apocalyptic desert worlds to the underground bioluminescence of that cave to everything in between. And I find consistently the colors in this book are gorgeous. They are, watercolor or pastel style, or within that stream of art, I suppose. And the book just is gorgeous to look at. And when Icor comes along, here's sort of later in the book, you can see just how bright it is, and that green has a power, and it hits everyone when it comes out, and it's always this powerful glow. So Matias Bergara does a killer job at illustrating this book. And one of the biggest, strongest parts about Coda, from a written perspective as well as an art perspective, is the impact that has on everyone that he interacts with. So not only is he this nihilistic jerk, basically, but throughout the story, throughout the events that occur and his interactions with people, and when he meets them, later on within the story, you see how his impact on those people impacts him. He sees what he's done to certain people, how his attitude has affected them, and the effect it has on him is impressive, and it actually shows you that he himself changes because of that, but also those characters that he meets, from innocent little kids that just want help to manipulative leaders of cultures, all in some way affect what he believes about the world and change his views from pessimistic or nihilistic to try and figure out how to make the world a little bit better. Because everyone does want to live in a better spot. Some people want to just, have their little slice and be happy. Other people want to help everyone. But with how all of these various people affect him, how he affects them, and how that relationship ultimately helps change the world, make Coda a extremely strong story, and it will leave a lasting impression on your mind. And it's just something that even now, once I finished the book and had time to think about it and set up cameras and stuff and really think about what I want to say, it's quite a profound effect. And that's why I think Coda is probably one of the best comic books that you can read out there. And it's a good book to start with. So if you've never read a comic, feel free to pick up Coda, because it is something that is beyond just the medium of comics, because it is such a good artistic piece, that it'll truly have this impression on you that only great writing and art can. And as you can tell, I quite like the book. It has one consistent art that is gorgeous, earning it the first star. It's awarded its second star due to Simon Spurrier's great writing of each individual character, as well as the twists and turns that happen to along the way. The third star comes because the art and the writing work well together to help move along the action and draw your eye. A 4-star because, frankly, I read this thing so fast that I just couldn't believe it. It's, like I said, 12 issues, and I was able to rip through it. And a 5th star simply because the amazing ending of this book, it will hit you here. It gives you a lot to think about when it comes to our relationships with each other as groups of people, as societies, as cultures, everything like that, but also as individuals, when it comes to how we treat each other and what we think about each other. So please do check out Coda. Again, your local comic shops will probably be able to have, if not order you in trades. So call them now, see if they'll do curbside pickup for the first copy, if not both volumes. After that, hit that like button, comment down below what you thought of Coda, and of course subscribe for more, and I'll see you later.